doing, everybody? And welcome and happy new year. Happy 2026. Fuck. January 4th, 2026. I've been out of this podcast thingamajig now for 2 weeks due to the holiday break. So much appreciated. Hopefully some of you have been able to get caught up and just kind of catch up on the previous episodes, have dropped a like, subscribed. I looked at the schematics and analytics, and it appears that there's been what I expected. There's been a little bit of a drop off, a little bit of a plateau. We're currently riding around 7,000, 7,200 subscribers. We definitely are pushing for 10,000 before 2027. We are hoping to have a massive explosion of way more listeners than that. But again, that's all predicated on the content and whether you guys vibe and jive with the episode so far. So since we are introducing 2026, I kind of want to take a moment to give a brief recap of what the channel is. And I know some of you returning listeners know what it is. Some of you that might not are first tuning in. This is what we are. Picture yourself having a conversation and a cup of coffee with a buddy of yours or a friend, whether it's at home, outside on the porch, whether it's a phone call that you're just talking to somebody you can relate to, you can have a decent conversation with, a smart conversation with that won't be belligerent or ignorant, somebody who's actually educated and might have some actual substance to the conversation and not really result to the same stuff that makes the conversations very boring, right? So within this channel, we kind of tackle all different subjects and topics such as religion, very little bit. I do touch on social media impacts and effects on kids, different parenting styles. How do we navigate that now in 2026, which I can't believe we're already here, and the negative impacts and positive impacts of positive reinforcement for our children. And I'm talking about for kids that are under the age of 18. Even some adults themselves might need some education as well and be told that, hey man, you're kind of overstepping. You're going a little bit beyond. I think I need you to scale it back in order for your kid to engage. And within that conversation, this is 100% unscripted. This is all in one take, guys. I press play, I start talking, and from time to time, it will all make sense, and you're going to be like, damn, all right. And I will have some little foo bars. I will be tripping over my words. I will cuss, depending how frustrated or the episode or the content it might be. So fair warning, explicit content. So if you're listening, if you're going to the gym, if you're driving, like let's say you're driving, getting on the road for about an hour, you're traveling back home, you're stuck in traffic, turn this on, listen up, because there's a lot of topics that I definitely want to address. So this is going to be a very fun-packed episode. And hopefully some of you engage with it, feel it, and we kind of go from there. So the topics of today's agenda is going to be holidays, what we did for New Year's, celebration, the youth these days, the positive effects. See, there you go. I already fucked up. Look at that. Woo. Literally, 3 minutes in and shit. Good Lord. Everybody getting a fucking cough these days? It's just getting fucking nuts, man. And it's one of those like really annoying coughs that just kind of lingers and it doesn't go nowhere. And I've had plenty of cough drops. I've had plenty of teas. It's not COVID, thank goodness. I haven't really had crazy ass fevers, but anyways, it's just annoying as shit. So pardon the voice. If you hear that, the frog in my throat, if you hear that, I'm sorry. Apologies. All right. So hopefully you guys can see past that. So what else are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about games that we play with family, and I mean board games and things and fun activities that typically some families do and some that don't during the holidays. Why that's important, and I'll speak on my own personal experience. We'll go into New Year's resolutions and what they mean to you, how you did last year versus this year. We're going to talk about youth sports, the negative and positive impacts of your child doing sports and those benefits that it had on you, right? And then teen relationships, the communications that you have with those teenagers, what that means, what that looks like. And then lastly, because it's a really fucking hot topic because it just happened a few days ago. We're going to talk about Venezuela. And we're going to talk about Donald Trump. We're going to discuss that. So within this channel, we address all those topics. I do have my own personal opinion on a lot of these. Some of it might jive with you. Some of it might not. But the whole point of this is to engage and listen. Right? You want to be able to listen to some content that you don't necessarily often listen to. A different perspective from somebody that you might not even be befriending on the day-to-day. Somebody that you might meet and initially you're kind of intimidated by him, or maybe oftentimes not think that that person is actually as deep or as articulate as you might think. And now again, that is a fault of your own prejudice, of your own reasons, and I've gotten into those reasons behind that in previous episodes, how oftentimes we tend to place people and ethnicities in certain boxes, and that's all we do without really looking at the substance that's around it. But again, I don't want to go down those topics because, like I said, we have a lot. And then last but not least, we're going to start with flipping NFL football. Now, again, disclaimer, the NFL does not pay me to say anything positive or anything negative about it. I'm just simply speaking my mind on some of the shenanigans. So if you guys are very big, avid sports fans, and you saw what the playoffs are going to look like this year, man, it's up for grabs. Well, in my opinion, for right now in the NFC, the team to beat looks to be the Seahawks. And Sam Darnold, which is the quarterback, is not really the best thing on the planet. They have a phenomenal wide receiver, which is like a crazier version of Puka Nacua from the Los Angeles Rams, which basically he's a slot receiver that you can put him anywhere and he'll just catch the damn ball. He's very good on the yards after catch, or what they call a yak. He's a slot receiver, outside receiver. He's got speed. He's strong. He's got solid hands. So he could be like your safety blanket. And Jackson Smith-Jigba came out of left field. Nobody thought he was going to be this successful when Sam Darnold came over. So his success this season has been outstanding. Puka Nacua is still doing his thing. Matthew Stafford is a little bit older. The Los Angeles Rams are kind of holding off for dear life at this point, but they're in the playoffs. So, which is crazy. So everybody from the NFC West, basically made it into the playoffs, that's how good of a fucking division that it is. You have my beautiful San Francisco 49ers. Then you have the Seattle Seahawks, who beat the Niners yesterday and clinched the number 1 seed, which, by the way, I'm still very salty about. But it is what it is, man. The San Francisco 49ers had a shit ton of injuries. What do you expect? The fact that they made it this far, the fact that they've been this successful at this point, much kudos to the coaching staff that has been able to hold it together. And here we are. We're in the playoffs where anything can happen. And I think they're going to be going over to Philadelphia to play the Eagles at Philly, which is a fucking tough deal, dude. Whenever they go on the East Coast, it's a toss-up. The Eagles might also shit the bed. They're returning champs, though. So it just depends. Are they going to take the Niners seriously? Or are they going to look at the roster and be like, it's full of fucking people I have no idea who they are. And they're just going to run wild. Now, what the Seahawks did against the San Francisco 49ers, they locked down our number 1 target, Christian McCaffrey. And Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, just could not pivot, could not adjust, and he was just exposed. You know, you remove his Swiss Army knife, my guy's got nothing, and he couldn't build nothing from nothing. He didn't try to distribute the ball or do something else. So his whole entire game plan was to shit when they shut down McCaffrey, and you could clearly tell that there was no plan B. And now this is where we're at, right? And it's fun. This is the fun part about the playoffs, the great time about the NFL, that anything can happen. You have people from the AFC. The Broncos are looking phenomenal. Drake May from the New England Patriots is just spanking the shit out of people left and right. And so here we are. It's going to be a toss-up. This year, I think it's the one of the few years that I've been watching NFL that you're not mentioning Brady, You're not mentioning Breeze. You're not mentioning Mahomes. They're gone, bro. They're done. They're done. Rodgers is on the verge of retirement. I mean, a lot of the quarterbacks that you hear now, you're talking about Herbert, Purdy, Hurts, who just won the championship. You're talking about Matthew Stafford, I think is the only old-timer left along, like, in the playoffs, and I think that's it. I think apart from that, Lamar Jackson? Nah, he doesn't count as old. The guy's still young. But the point is that this season, this year, it's a toss-up, and it can go anyway. So, with that being said, let's enjoy the playoffs. I was going to be going into the PFF and give you guys a live score, but at this point, I think that we're going to see enough of it for us to make our own judgment of it. So, if you're not a big, avid NFL football watcher, bro, do it, and freaking watch it, enjoy it, and love it. So let's talk about the holidays. So the past 2 weeks, we celebrated Christmas. We did a New Year's. We had phenomenal time for Christmas Eve, and shared stories, saw family come over. And for New Year's Eve, we did the same thing. And one thing that I've noticed, and I'm not sure if some of you also are encountering the same thing, I'm noticing that a lot of families where they used to all get together at somebody's home have now kind of gone their own way. What I mean by that is, and I'm not sure if it's a cultural thing. Like, I remember when I was growing up that all the siblings, all the families, everybody would get together, right? Whether you like that person or not. And there was always that conflict between, like, your uncle number one, uncle number two, not getting along or fighting over some stupid shit. Or somebody says inappropriate stuff or inappropriate jokes. And there's always one family member, no matter what, that you have not seen in months or hardly see them throughout the year. And they come to the parties, they come to the events, and they say the most inappropriate shit, or they have their own type of humor that honestly, if you're just coming into it, you're just not feeling it. And that's all gone. Now those people are not invited. So I think this new generation just said, fuck it. I don't have to succumb myself to inviting people that I honestly just don't vibe with. And that's completely okay. But I'm just noticing that now the younger generation have their own families, have their own kids, they're taking trips. And the significance and value of spending time during the holidays with your family, that word family circle is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's a good thing. Because if you go from a family of 20 where you're not going to see those 20 every single day in and day out, odds are there are going to be segments and pockets of groups that are just going to be closer than the rest of the team, right? Than the rest of the group. And those little groups are going to be hanging out together more often than not. And now I'm starting to see now that it's one of those times in 2026 or 2025 where it's kind of like, deal with it. You know, I'm the big avid person and believer in that. I think those times where we have to moderate and scale back our opinions of who we care about, who we really want to hang around with, I think that shit's gone. I think at this point, we're reaching a point where, fuck it, dude. Either you're going to accept the fact that I'm just closer with this person or you're not. And to some people, it might be like a punch in the gut because they're like, bro, we used to hang out. Now all of a sudden we're not. Well, maybe you thought you were cool with this person, but maybe that person maybe is not feeling it anymore, or they're hanging out with somebody else and they're vibing. It doesn't mean that their relationship is completely over. It just means that at that moment in time, maybe they just don't want to hang around with you. And that's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I think that all of us as adults have to learn to manage that. And we also have to teach our kids that that's okay. Because the kids they react to things like that based on how you react. So they look to you for validation or for approval or for confirmation of what you're feeling. So we always have to be extremely mindful when we have kids, how we react to things. What we say about that sibling, what we say about that niece or nephew or cousin. because they are generating their own depiction and their own analysis of everyone in the family. So the more open you are to hanging out with different people from your family with the different personalities, the more well-rounded your children and kids are going to be when they come around those individuals at some point, because they're going to have to. There's going to be quinceañeras. Somebody's going to get married. There's going to be a cotillion from my Filipino family. There's going to be a celebration of life. There's going to be a proposal, a gender reveal, something like that, where you're going to be hanging around and seeing these people that you don't normally see, and your kids have to be ready to see that. If you are constantly sheltering your child from the rest of your family just because you feel a little bit either uncomfortable in your family's behavior, then I don't know what to tell you. Maybe it needs to be a little bit different. But that is what it is. I digress. Hold on one second, please. Let me pause for one quick moment. Alrighty, baby. Alrighty, baby. What the fuck am I talking about, dude? Jesus Christ. I can't even break transitions and shit. Anyway, sorry about that, y'all. I had a little bit of a technical problem with the audio. Fuck, you know what? I just played back like a snippet of the recording, and I sound like an old fucking uncle. Oh shit, can't even do it on purpose. Oh my god. Anyways. Oh shit. Oh fuck, coughing attack. Woo. Alrighty, I'm over that. So with that being said, well, that kind of derailed the whole entire episode. Well, anyways, like I was mentioning, in regards to bringing people and having your kids around, everybody in your family, that's just the way that you are. Your family are what they are. They're not all going to get along. And at some point, you yourself as a parent have to kind of manage your own holiday commitments, right? Like, you're not going to be at everybody's house on Christmas Eve. You're not going to be at everybody's house on Christmas Day. And you're not going to be at everybody's house for New Year's Eve. The one thing that I do want to drive the point home, and this goes to you that are listening, and if you're able and capable to do this, if this is still a possibility for you, and your parents are still alive and well, up and about, make it an effort, make an actual effort to see them that day. Whether it's you swinging by their home, spending minutes, maybe 5, 10, 15 minutes, if they're not sick, if they're not ill, even if they're not into the vibe that you're thinking of doing, go see them. Because there is no guarantee tomorrow. And I was actually seeing this movie yesterday with my daughters. And I was in the living room and I heard them wailing out and crying. And I thought my daughter had got injured, right? I have 3 kids. So I thought my middle child, who's injured, the one who's more likely to get injured at some point, because she thinks she's invincible. So, and I know some of you have some kids that are exactly the same way. Well, I went upstairs and I'm like, what the hell's going on? And they were watching the movie The Notebook. And if some of you have not seen The Notebook, I really recommend it. It's one of those movies you watch. It is a love story, but it's a beautifully well done love story that it will hit you emotionally. And I'm not going to spoil the movie too much, but the ending really kind of hits you on the heartstrings with your parents and the challenges that they will eventually face, including us as we get older. And what we want after we retire is spend as much time with our grandkids, with our children, as much as possible. And I know that's a tough task, a tall task to have, because we're so busy with our own individual and personal agenda and things that we want to do for ourselves, things that we deem fun. But if you really think about it, how much longer are your parents going to be with you? That they're going to be able to be conscious and fun and play board games and take part in the festivities. How far is that going to go? How long is that going to last? You don't know. And then what, from one day to the next, they're going to be gone. And then you're going to be looking back at the videos and you don't see one picture of them Just you playing beer pong and getting blasted and plastered and smoking weed and doing this and doing that. Just you with your friends, always constantly being at their house on New Year's celebration because you know they go all out every single year. While you have your old man and your old woman still at home watching movies, going to bed at 10 o'clock, 10:30 because they can't stay awake past 11. Now, granted, I don't mean just completely change your entire day, but just be conscious of that. And don't completely ignore your parents. And again, this is a disclaimer on this. This is if you've had a really good relationship with your folks. If you've had some sort of sour feelings, some ill falling out between your family and them and this and that, or the relationship that you had might be the reason why they're prompting you to kind of be this way. But if you don't have that as a reason, there should be zero excuse for you not to try to make an effort. Because here's one thing that I realized growing up, and that is you're going to get old one day. I'm going to get old one day. My wife's going to be old one day. I don't know whether I'm going to have dementia, Alzheimer's, or whatever it might be, but I do want to be able to enjoy my kids and my grandkids as much as possible. I'm going to be that one annoying fucking grandparent that you're going to have to kick me the fuck out the house. Because I will be sleeping over at your house. If I'm coming over for fucking festivities for New Year's Eve, best believe I'm bringing my bag. Oh man, my battery's dying. Hold on, people. Pause for one quick moment. All right, here we're back. Okay. So, like I was saying, so just be mindful of that, right? Just not completely just isolate or ignore who they are, where they're at, what they're about. You guys all hanging out. And the other thing too, if you have no reason to not see or spend time with your family, spend time with them. Just do it. Just go hang out. Even if you don't have to be there the entire New Year's celebration. And here's the other thing that we also have to do better as individuals. This whole passive aggressive shit. Man, if you are that type, stop. That's fucking annoying. Nobody's in your mind. Nobody's in your head. If you want to hang out, fucking hang out. Say something. I don't care if you're an adult or not. Say something. It's not going to hurt anything, especially if it's you spending time alone by yourself because you feel bad about asking or you're waiting for somebody to invite you. Don't do it. So pick up the phone or text and be like, hey, what are you guys doing for New Year's? You guys mind if we come over? Come over. You know what I mean? And I extend that to a lot of my family, you know, but everybody does their own thing, even from my own personal experience. And it's okay if they don't hang out, if they don't come over. With me and my wife, we have such a big family that we know everybody's family is growing. Everybody's doing something. But just don't shy away from that. And again, I still go back to the whole parent thing because my parents are getting older. They are retiring. One of them is retired officially. And my father, I think, will be retiring later on this year. And then eventually they're going to be moving back to Nicaragua. But the holiday festivities were so fun. I mean, we played board games. We did match games. We did charades. We did Pictionary, our version of it anyway. And then we played tic-tac-toe. We gave out prizes. We played a diabolical ass fucking game of Uno, for God's sakes. God damn. Fucking stacks on stacks and I mean, and by the way, whoever invented Uno was diabolical and definitely did not give two shits about his family. Those of you out there who are phenomenal Uno players, dude, shit, kudos to you, because I played Uno with my nephews and we were just laughing our ass off the entire time. My wife bought me this deck of this game called Elite Uno, who have no idea what the hell it is. I have to Google it and look at the instructions. But there was no number on the cards. It was just different instructions. And my nephews are asking me, hey, how do you play this? And I couldn't even come up with anything. No BS, no nothing. So I started mumbling. I'm like, So he caught that. So he started laughing his ass off. He's like, what? And everybody started laughing. Then we started stacking. When somebody drops a +2, another person drops another +2. And it went around like 3 consecutive people. And the fourth person basically had to pick up 6 cards. And that game lasted hella, but it makes time go by super fast. And the other thing too is one thing that I remind the youth these days. It's cool to be buzzed. It's cool to drink sometimes and be a social drinker. However, if you're going to go to New Year's Eve and your whole mission and objective is to be basically effed up beyond all recognition, then you're kind of missing the point. The point of festivities like this is basically to get a group of people together that don't often or normally hang out and celebrate something collectively in a peaceful manner, in a peaceful way, and in a fun way. And if you cannot find a way to play games or do something else, read a book or something. Obviously, you're not going to fucking read a book in a family, right? That'd be weird. I feel like everybody sit around the couch. I'm going to read a book. No, dude, come on. I get it. But the point is, like, there's other activities that you can do with your family other than just taking shots to the face to see who gets fucked up first and then starts filming. So with that being said, what do some of you have for New Year's resolutions? I'll tell you what mine's are. And I have none. Yes, I have none. I refuse to give myself a New Year's resolution because I just want to do it. I've noticed that for the past couple of years, when I've told myself I don't want to do something, I feel inclined to do it more, which is stupid. Oh, I want to lose weight. Fuck it. Here I am, fucking stuffing my face. Oh, I don't want to drink as much. Here I am drinking more than the previous year. And by the way, I got into that because I was drinking so fucking much. Right now, I'm doing like a dry spell where I'm not drinking any sort of alcohol until, I don't know. So TBD. So how long this goes, but this journey's been now for 3 months now. So it's been pretty interesting because my body obviously goes through changes. I think the first month I had a little bit of an itch of like, fuck, dude, I want a cold beer on a Friday on a hot day. But now I just either have my coffee or I just talk to the kids or I play the PS5. Yes, I'm a gamer, even though I'm in my 40s. I do play games. I do play FIFA, or in this case, FC 26. And I do play Tekken 8, which is a fighting game. And then now I'm into this game called Dead Space, which basically you're going into space and you're doing some stupid shit and trying to kill aliens and stuff. The moral of the story is that I'm keeping myself busy, keeping myself distracted. And the other, I guess you could say the only New Year's resolution I have for this year would be for myself would be to be a much better example and a much better motivator to motivator for all of my kids. My teenage daughter, she is going to be trying out for flag football next year. My daughter, my middle child, she's my soccer player. We're going to be focused on her improvement, her self-development, for her getting quicker and getting speed, which are very crucial in the sport that she loves, which is soccer. And it's not just me saying that, so much so that she literally created her own profile in FC 26 along with my oldest, but my middle one is the one who's always playing. She's looking at attributes. And it's funny how silly games like that can show a kid indirectly more about the game, I think, than the coach does. And it's hilarious as hell. Like before, my daughter used to struggle when you would talk about formations like a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1 or a 4-3-3 or a 2-4-1. And she can break it down to you. She can tell you what a left winger is, a mid winger is, left back, center back, right wing, a striker, a forward, all those positions. And she's only 10, going to be 11. And she's understanding that. She's understanding now when people are out of position. She knows what a playthrough is, what a lob, what a cross, what they should be, how to properly kick it with your foot, which is stupid because a lot of the shit that she's learning on these drills from these video games, she's doing them in real life. She's implementing it, which is crazy. So with the soccer thing, I'm hoping to be a much better example to all three of them. My son eventually will be doing some sports. And this is the reason why I like to have sports. And those of you who are able to have your kids in some sort of youth activity, there is a lot of fundamentals that goes with it, right? Number one, it's fun. It decreases injury. It increases enthusiasm and eagerness. It prolongs involvement. It basically attacks and hinders, and it really focuses on focus. exercises, friendships, good sportsmanship, skill development. It fuels the basics, like keeping things simple. And if an athlete has a directed goal, that's their motivation. And there's a reward the effort rather than the outcome. And that is something that's not teachable in schools. And they did a report a few years ago where basically they did a comparison in two kids, that the one that did sports activities and the one that did not. And the one that did not was at home more often than not, eating unhealthy foods, having very bad eating habits, bad sleeping habits, and was very antisocial, was very much of an introvert. And in the end, by the time they got to their teenage years, they suffered from obesity and low-key diabetes from the excess use of sugar, heart disease, high blood pressure. Now, these are trigger words. Like you might, to you, I'm like, fuck, doing kids? Yes, in kids. With the amount of junk and the amount of shit that they put in a lot of the processed foods right now, basically, you'd be surprised. Pick up any food that your kid buys, or even you, if you're listening, if you're a listener and you're in the teenager, pick up whatever the hell you're eating, whether it's Takis or some sort of junk food. Look at the back, look at the ingredients, and tell me that without Googling it, without you asking ChatGPT or doing a Google search, can you honestly fucking tell me what those ingredients are? You won't. Apart from a fucking corn syrup and tortilla, I mean, some of the damn names and some of the ingredients are fucking diabolical. There's no organic shit. Because if it's organic, it goes and rots hell of a lot quicker than shit that's been treated. Look at, I think they also did another experiment with food where they had a burger patty from a McDonald's burger patty versus a regular burger patty made at home. And the person left them in a Ziploc container for about, I think like a week or 2 weeks. And you can see the difference. The burger patty that was completely natural started molding out and started going to shit, eventually went bad, turned black, had to throw it away. The McDonald's burger patty stayed intact for 2 fucking months. For 2 months. The amount of shit that put in that fucking thing. Do you know what it means? Sorry for my cough, guys. Could you imagine not eating nothing for 2 weeks and still being okay? like nothing happened at all. I mean, come on. Apologies for the coughing attack, guys. So that should just tell you enough, right? So sports habits and youth activities is just much better. It impacts their social development and their hand and eye coordination. They tend to be much more coordinated, much more physical. They can encounter challenges a hell of a lot better, and then they know how to manage their emotions better versus a challenge. Where sometimes kids that are not necessarily oftentimes playing sports need a little bit more care, need a little bit more hand holding to get them over the hump, over a challenge, over an obstacle. They need a little bit more motivation. The kid that is constantly seeing like a challenge, whether it's on recreational soccer, football, whatever sport that is, even dance and non-competitive dance, versus the ones that don't, there's a big significant difference. When you have kids doing competitive sports, anytime you go up another kid that are around the same age as you, there's going to be a challenge. Everybody's going to go all out, and you're going to be able to see how you do against a challenge. When you see somebody that's better than you at something, how do you react to it? How do you manage? How do you pivot? How do you adjust? Because that's life. That is life, guys. That is life. I mean, every single day is not going to be handed to you, and it's not going to be an easy run. It's not going to be like a video game, the setting being set on beginner and amateur. It's going to be ultra hard, sometimes medium, sometimes easy. You just never know what you're going to get. And so versus the kid, going back to the experiment that did competitive sports, the kid that did competitive sports did better in education, did better on their grades, had much healthier eating habits because they were being conscious of what they were taking in was going to be showing out on the field. if I eat like crap the day before a tournament, odds are I'm probably gonna play like crap the day after, because the amount of work and effort that your body's gonna take to address those unhealthy things that you just placed in your body are gonna take away from you doing and maxing out on your fullest of capabilities at any sport. And that is not just physical, but also mental. If you have brain fog, if you're eating too many sugars and you're not feeling well, you're not feeling right, you're not sharp, you're not going to be able to answer questions correctly, you're not going to be as coordinated, you're not going to be listening, you're going to tire out faster, and next thing you know, it's going to show out on the field and you're going to have a poor result. So kids that do competitive sports, whether it's soccer, football, track, running, any sport, dance, whatever it might be, volleyball, the results are proven and they are there. So if you are able and capable to have these kids do some sort of sport, to do that, do it. Do it. Don't reward your kids with a tablet when they haven't done nothing but just bring you grades, because they're going to grab that tablet and go to their room and disappear for 6 or 8 hours. And that relationship and that type of communication that you have with that individual is going to little by little wither down and slowly disappear. Then they're not going to be as connected with you. They're not going to be able to as engaging with you or other people. Like, let's say, this is another good practice to some of you that might have. When you have family coming over, this is one of my pet peeves, and my daughters know this. I don't give a shit what the fuck you're doing, whether you're upstairs and you're in your tablet or you're on your phone. You put that shit down and you greet people at the door. You make an effort to get up, go shake their hands and say hi, do the rounds, then you can go back to do what you got to do. And to me, that is so important, because that is going to translate to them being a much better adult, that they're not going to ignore, they're not going to dismiss, and they're not going to avoid going up to a person they're not oftentimes comfortable talking to and just greeting them. Now, I don't mean they're going to be doing this to strangers day in and day out, obviously, because stranger danger, they know that. But when it comes to their own family, unless this person has done something to you, there's no reason for you to completely ignore them and pretend like they're not fucking there. And this goes for when they're leaving. I make sure my kids say bye to the person, their uncles, their nieces, their nephews. Make sure they say bye. Make sure they do their rounds. You just have to. It's a cultural thing. No, it's not. It's a respect thing. It's a manners thing. Because if you are literally just in your room in your tablet and you show very little interest in trying to interact with anybody around you, you're going to have a hell of a fucking time being taken seriously at anything you got to say, because you've never engaged with anybody. Nobody even knows you have a voice. And by the time you finally do decide to have a voice, people are going to think you're batshit crazy. So they're going to tune you the fuck out. So that's that. Now, I did touch on the whole teens thing, but I think I'm going to save that for the next episode, because we are already at 38, 39 minutes right now for the episode. So, minus the coughing attacks and shit, which I think probably took like maybe 5-10 minutes. Man, I should really go back and edit that shit out, or should I just leave it? I'll just leave it. Fuck it. Anyway, so we'll dive into a little bit of the recent news. So, what some of you might not know or do know, Venezuela, the country of Venezuela, was recently not attacked. Attacked is a strong word, because the country itself wasn't attacked. Basically, their president, Mr. Maduro, Nicolas Maduro, he was removed from the governmental office by force by the U.S. government. And some of you have seen it online. Some of you have seen it on your email threads. Some of you have seen Donald Trump saying the most belligerent, inappropriate, unethical, unprofessional, ignorant type shit that you could fucking possibly think of from somebody who holds office. Okay? And to a lot of people, he's like, oh my God, yeah, Donald Trump is just saying what all of us are thinking. Well, that's fucking sad, because he's not supposed to do that. He's supposed to be a diplomat. He's supposed to be a representation of the entire country. I'm sorry, but he does not fucking represent me. I don't care how he talks about, but Mr. Yellow Cornhead Man, he does not represent me. And when you go to other countries and you say you're from the United States of America and they look at you because they immediately relate Donald Trump and his picture and his ideology in the back of people's minds, they think that you are of the same school. And that happens to people that come from Russia. That happens to people that come from India, Afghanistan, and Israel. Remember, peoples, we are all individual. We're not a hive mind mentality where all of us fucking think the same. We don't. So it's very good and very important for all of us to do our due diligence and research the real true importance of what just happened. So I'm going to go ahead and speak on this topic right now. And some of this stuff might trigger you. So it is a trigger warning, disclaimer. So listen up. I'm going to tell you a little bit of the imports of Venezuela, why they're so important. And I want you to, in the back of your mind, think of why the United States did what they did. Now, I want you to look at it in a perspective as an investment. If you are looking to buy stocks and Venezuela's stock is up for grabs, would you buy this stock by force no matter what? Remove the human aspect of it. Remove the dictatorship. Remove, oh, we're doing this shit for fucking freedom, buddy. Come on. No, remove that shit. Let's just call it what it is, right? And let's talk about it right now. So the top 10 imports for the country of Venezuela. And the data for 2025 has not been released yet, but for 2024, this is the breakdown. Number 1, mineral fuels, including oil. Okay. The very first one, mineral fuels, including oil, accounted for $2.4 billion. Okay. And exports is about the same. Then they accounted for machinery, including computers, electrical, machinery equipment, vehicles, plastics and articles, food industry waste, animal fodder, pharmaceuticals, clothing, accessories, not knit or crochet. All right. So Venezuela's top 10 exports generated over 3/5, about 60% of the overall value, which means that they are selling a shit ton of product, especially oil. Who was the biggest consumer and the biggest purchaser of oil from Venezuela? China and Russia, who have come out publicly, and wherever you Google it, they are anti-United States to the fucking bone. China is one of those countries that in Russia, they're forced to kind of play nice to the United States, but if they had an option, they would wipe us off the fucking earth. And I think the U.S. probably feels the same way about Putin and Xiaoping. But that's not what it is. Now, the Venezuelan country also holds the biggest oil reserves, the biggest oil deposit in the entire planet. The equivalent to some estimators is about maybe $2-3 trillion worth of value in oil alone. The country is self-sustaining when it comes to oil. It doesn't need to buy anything. It doesn't need to do shit. The problem with Venezuela is that the people that are in power are for their own personal benefit, but not of the country's. They're very selfish, very egocentric. They are for the people, so they say, but in reality, they're just benefiting themselves and making their pockets fatter. And they basically feed BS to the masses and make them feel that they're doing things for them. In other words, hey, I just made $1 billion. Let me make you $1 million school. Oh my God, he made us $1 million school. I made $1 million. You didn't hear the first part, did you? Hey, I just made $1 billion. Here, let me give you guys some food and buy you guys, tons of food that you don't normally get. I'm gonna bring it from Russia. Oh my God, he's bringing food from exports. He's really allowing this shit. He's really growing the country. And this fool only fucking spent $50 on this shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's how asinine it looks, and people fall for it. And they've been under the same regime since Hugo Chavez, under the same BS that people fell for it. They were so gaslighted into them that they were doing everything for their country. They wanted to make their country so independent. They want to be independent from everything because this is the shit that they've been told, that, oh, we need Russia and China's involvement because we don't want to be under the U.S.'s regime. And I agree. But sadly and unfortunately, Russia and China are doing the same shit that the U.S. is now wanting to do. So the U.S., because Mr. Maduro has ties to Russia, there's a lot of other negative vibes, negative people that are coming into Venezuela for their own benefit and their own profit. And they're saying, hey, Mr. Maduro, let me give you about $100 million in this fucking offshore account that nobody's going to know about. And you're just going to let a couple of my ships that are going to pass by your docks. And you're not going to check any of the containers. You're just going to let them pass. He goes, yeah, that's fine. Go for it. He lets them pass. They get to the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard basically ransacks those boats, and those boats contain an exorbitant amount of drugs that are coming over to the United States, because the United States is the biggest consumer in the entire world for drugs. Point out, period. We are the biggest customer. We are the biggest client. We have the most money. We have so many freaking celebrities left and right. People are dropping like flies. Fentanyl is running rapid. There's a bunch of shit that people consume in this country. We are the biggest consumers of just anything. We are the biggest consumer of whatever the hell you're selling. We'll buy more of it because that's just the way we are. So the U.S. administration tells Mr. Nicolas Maduro, hey man, you got to cut that shit out. There's only so much shenanigans that we can allow, but at some point you have to be held accountable for what you're allowing through. He responds, don't tell me what to do. I do what the fuck I want. It's my country there, buddy. So more and more shit happens, and more ships get seized. More of them get caught. More of them get destroyed out in the open ocean. Because at this point, the U.S. government is saying, hey, enough's enough. We've told you enough times to stop letting stuff happen, because now, here's the little tidbit, some of those containers, some of those ships that were allowed to pass through Venezuela had ties to some of the people currently in the government of Venezuela. So some of these people were so tempted by the money provided by the cartels and organized crime that they said, hey, dude, you know what? You don't even have to worry about bringing in your boat. I'll lend you my own damn boat. You're going to put your product in my fucking boat, and they're going to go out and you're going to pay me now, not just $100 million, you're going to pay me $200 million for me loaning you my boat. The cartels, fuck it. All right, whatever. Here's $200 million. Pfft, that's nothing. That's chump change. And those things start getting caught. So then now the U.S. government goes back to Nicolas Maduro and says, hey, man, we caught this. We have this. We have this. We have that. Nicolas Maduro, in dictator fashion, says, don't tell me what to do. This is my shit. I run my country. Nobody gonna tell me nothing. Brr, 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 brr. Okay. So the U.S. is like, all right, enough's enough, bro. Okay, how much are we gonna tolerate this? So then Trump says, fuck it. Let's go to war. Let's go attack them. Let's destroy some shit. Let's fucking hire. Let's find a way. The Congress goes, no. We need justifiable cause. We need a reason for us to go in there. So then what happens? Well, like I've told you guys in the whole PsyOps episode from 2 or 3 ago, that's when social media starts getting involved. You start seeing more of Nicolas Maduro's historical horrible acts against his country. They start blasting Hugo Chavez's history, how they came into power. what they do to oppress their government, what they do to the oppressed their people, how do they live, their benefits, why do they live as millionaires and the rest of the country is living shit poor. Then all that stuff starts flooding the government and it starts flooding the masses of the media in all forums, all social media, all the internet. So you're getting blasted with Maduro bad, Maduro bad, Maduro bad, Maduro bad, Maduro bad. Subliminal fucking messages, a psyops job to the fucking fullest. And then all of a sudden you start getting rumors of they're allowing so much shit that, hey, there's a rumor that they have been given nuclear weapons by Russia as a gift to Maduro to defend himself in the future against the US. So then now we're dealing with that shit, right? So now we're like, all right, now it's getting scary. So that is the trigger that Congress needs for them to be like, you know what? Yeah, we're going to go in there and we're going to take him the fuck out because there's no way. You can't leave this guy in power. He's not King John, whatever the fuck his name is, that you're just going to go in there and start some shit. Because North Korea, honestly, is a difficult ass fucking country to get in there. You can't just go in there. And the guy, he either has weapons of mass destruction or he doesn't fucking have weapons of mass destruction. The point is that the dude's batshit crazy. He's a little tiny kid, a little toddler that's one temper tantrum away from pressing the fucking trigger and sending the world into another world war. So the U.S. goes, all right, fuck it, we're going in. So then Maduro comes out and says a stupid-ass speech from years ago that they use now that people are like, oh, look, he said this before. No, he had already said the speech about the U.S. Like, hey, if you don't like what I'm doing, come over here and get me. I'm ready for you. We're ready for war. Antagonizing an ego fucking maniac by the name of Mr. Donald Trump, that is our current president. And Mr. Trump has such of a big fucking ego that he said, no, we're going to find a way. There's weapons of mass destruction. We have to go in now. So, of course, his little minions are like, all right, well, fuck it. Let's come up with a plan. So they came up with a plan. And just a few days ago or a day ago, basically, they went into Venezuela and they removed Mr. Maduro and his wife from office without a single casualty from the U.S. government. Now, they won't divulge or say how many people died in Venezuela. You have to look for that shit. But with all those fucking explosions, you would think that maybe there was a thing or two that might have died, right? But you don't hear that, do you? You won't. Because the bigger picture is the fucking story, not how we got there. The only things we care about as U.S. residents is, did we accomplish our mission and did any of our soldiers die in the process? If both those things are a yes and a no, nobody died, no one cares how it's done. And this is the part about the U.S. politics that really baffles me. We like to pretend and we act like, oh my God, we're so companion. We have so much companionship versus others. No, we don't. The United States is a very egotistical fucking nation. That's just the way it is. Think about it, and like when you live in Texas, everything's big in Texas. Everything's massive in Texas. There's bigger fucking hats in Texas, bigger shoes in Texas, bigger schools in Texas. That's the U.S. in a nutshell. You want it bigger. Bigger, 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 bigger. Bigger is better. And so the U.S. goes in, removes us from office, and then now we're in a predicament. Who the fuck is going to run the country? Well, I don't know. So then now the United States now controls all that oil, all those resources that I just spoke about, and they removed access from Russia and China and South America. So now Russia and China are like, what do we do here? Because their only segue to the U.S. was through Venezuela, and there is Colombia, and there is my own country, Nicaragua, as well, who are in cahoots with Russia and China. But we won't dive into that one in this particular podcast. But that's its own challenge by itself. So then everybody's like, all right, Mr. Trump, you confiscated all these fucking oil tankers for Venezuela. What are you going to do? And you can Google his interview. He literally said, oh, we might keep them. That's not even his shit. But that's our fucking president, people. That is the president of the United States. Fucking guys say, yeah, we'll keep him, buddy. You ain't gonna see him. We might keep him, we might spend it. I don't know, shit. We're just gonna put it in the bank. You know what I mean? Spoils of war type of shit. Like that's our fucking president. That's literally what it is. But here's the slap in the face, and this is the one that really fucking kills me. So this happened yesterday. So then the U.S. government has to put somebody in power temporarily to run that government. Okay, so it doesn't go to shit. Because the U.S. is trying to avoid as much involvement in this whole situation. They want to reap the benefits with very little risk on their end or accountability to sustain it. Because they know if they try to do that route, if they try to manage the country the way the U.S. wants it, it's not going to end well. It's going to be in a big revolution, circa Nicaragua 1980s with Contra, circa Panama, circa Vietnam, circa just fucking insert any country that the U.S. has tried to manage and micromanage. It never ends well. Ever. So what do? President Trump elects Delcy Rodriguez, and she was sworn in as the Venezuela interim president and would act as a partner in letting the United States run the country. Delcy Rodriguez, remember that name. Delcy Rodriguez was the vice president to Mr. Nicolas Maduro. She was handpicked by this fool. And Trump and the U.S. said, here you go, you're going to let us run it, right? So here are the keys to the country. You're going to do what the fuck we say, because according to Trump, he goes, she essentially is willing to do what we think is necessary to make Venezuela great again. Everybody's cheering. His yes men and yes women are like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, buddy, come on, yeah, boo, Trump is the shit, Trump is the bullshit. You know, like then that bullshit starts, right? Then you go on social media, everybody's putting on their fucking MAGA hats, and here we go again. My guy can fucking walk on water with some of these fucking people in the country, and it fucking annoys the shit out of me. But anyway, I digress. Less than 2 hours later, after he literally made those comments, Miss Rodriguez, who was Nicolas Maduro's vice president, delivered a televised address to Venezuela that made it very clear that she viewed the United States an illegal invader that must be rejected. So talk about a slap in the face. You talk to the lady, she goes, you're gonna do what we want, right? Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, then you leave and she starts immediately talking shit about you. She literally said in her speech, we are determined to be free. And what is being done to Venezuela is a barbarity. Her defiance of Mr. Trump made it clear that his plans to swoop in South American nation and run it as his own faced many more hurdles than he suggested in his Saturday news conference, when he declared victory in Venezuela. We had already warned that an aggression was underway under false excuses and false pretenses, and that the masks had fallen off, revealing only one objective: regime change in Venezuela. The regime change would also allow for the seizure of our energy, minerals, and natural resources. That is the true objective. And the world and the international community must know it. She fucking knows it. We all know it. Those who understand and know history know that the U.S. does this type of ish. And then you have Mr. President over here that does exactly that. So again, I challenge you, and I challenge everybody on these podcasts to do your research, before you follow that narrative, and you are easily influenced because we are noticing patterns that our government does. And it's funny, right? And I'll end it on this one because this is going to make you fucking think. And I said this was going to be a trigger one. Regardless of how you feel, your political views, the U.S. always does this. There is always a smoke bomb here to completely ignore and avoid talking about another subject. Always. It's funny, right? Just as soon as the Epstein files are being released or in the process of being released thereof, we have all this shit popping off. Now, nobody's talking about the Epstein files. Who was in the Epstein files? There was very, very famous politicians, actors, and people from media that were all on that list. Whether they were guilty of the acts or not, just by the fact that you were affiliated with that individual, you are guilty by association. You saw it, you knew what was happening, and you chose not to do shit until the gentleman got caught. And then all of a sudden, he's unalived. And all those files disappeared. And then now they're redacted, which, if you don't know what redacted means, it means that somebody literally went through every single file and picked who they wanted, whose name they wanted released, and what information tied to it. And now we are here in Venezuela with an attempted removal in a regime change, and now you put somebody in power who is not having it, because the U.S. is known to do this. And unfortunately, the person who is delegating and managing these steps, which is the president who we have now, does not have the best reputation globally. I don't care what anyone says. He can talk himself up all he wants, saying that he's the best, he's the best, he's the best. He's not. And the U.S. is not. And I will tell you this, like I told my wife earlier before I did this podcast, the United States is slowly becoming the villain in the movie. The U.S. is slowly becoming the target. We are becoming way too big for our own britches. And other countries eventually, at some point, will reach a boiling point when they will no longer be okay looking the other way. When they themselves will understand that, hey, if you have one particular nation managing and running everything in the entire planet, it never ends well. Germany tried to do it in 1940s. Stalin tried to do it. Mussolini tried to do it. Lenin tried to do it. Mao tried to do it in China. Think about it. Rome. What happened in Rome? It fell apart and it crumbled. And that is my fear. That is my concern now, that the United States is going the same way. Now, the amount of resources that they're getting from Venezuela, who benefits? The U.S. Strategically, allowing the U.S. access to Venezuela, militarily, strategically, it's a disaster for every other country. Because now the U.S. controls the entire America. They have a footprint in South America. They have a footprint in Central America. They have a footprint in Canada. They have a footprint in Hawaii, out on the oceans. They have a footprint in Asia with the Philippines and Japan. They have a footprint in Europe. You don't think that's a little bit scary to some countries that are seeing the U.S. do this and pull this stuff? And they're being unsupervised, running amok? If this had been Russia, if this had been China doing this? So I challenge you to always do your research, investigate, and analyze. And this last tidbit of a golden nugget of information that I got, that Ms. Rodriguez literally is throwing the middle finger back at the U.S. and Mr. Trump, is hilarious. But what are we going to do next? What is Mr. Trump going to do next? Because this is going to hit his ego big. Is he going to be going in there and completely remove her from office? Because now you're literally declaring war against Venezuela. And if you're going to declare war against Venezuela, guess who's going to get involved? Russia's going to get involved. China's going to get involved. And this shit might turn into World War III. So hopefully a lot of us are preppers and get your shit ready, because it's about to get fucking interesting. 2026 is going to be a year of change. Hopefully for the better. Hopefully somebody talks some sense into this gentleman and tell him to sit the fuck down and chill. Because it's the livelihood of my children, it's the livelihood of you listening, that this does not happen. So I hate to leave the episode on this somber thought process, but it is what it is. I knew this episode was going to be long en los dientes, meaning long in the tooth. So I'll leave you with this for 2026. Be blessed, be well, subscribe, like, share, and I will see you next week. So we'll go back to the normal rotation next week. 1 episode, 2 episodes. I'm still thinking that. In the meantime, hopefully you guys had fun. Hopefully my coughs didn't blow out your fucking eardrums. Oh, fuck that cough, dude. Jesus. That cough sounds like doo-doo. Anyways, enjoy the rest of the evening. Enjoy the episode. Hopefully you guys have a phenomenal and beautiful Monday. Go Niners. I'll dive into some topics next week. I'll chime into this shenanigans, and we're going to talk about another topic that I want to dive into, which is teen relationships and when it's appropriate. Alrighty. So, like I said a few moments ago, be well, be safe, and God bless. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you guys next week.